Let me know when you're up on Facebook, and then I'll start talking. We're good? All right. Ladies and gentlemen, you can see if you're watching on our streams, this is sort of, like I say, make it plain after the show, like Oprah.
Oh, I like it.
Make it plain after the show. I'm Bropra.
You are Bropra. I like it. Does that mean we get to, like, I don't know, can we swear after the show? Like, what happens after the show?
People swear during the show. I just don't.
Yeah, right.
They just. Lady Parr's Justice League, co-creator of The Daily Show. She does so much. And we're always, even though she's a dear friend and no stranger, it still always is a very, very special time when she comes by to see us. And she's here to let us know about the Vagical Mystery Tour, the wonderful Lizz Winstead. How are you? And we're just talking how we got the strike.
I know. We have a strike game that is on point, I feel like.
Yeah,
I feel good.
How are you? You look great.
Thanks. So do you. I always think I've seen you more than I have because I see you so much on TV doing commentary that I'm like, I have seen. No, I've only seen Mark. Mark has not actually seen.
Yeah, and I miss you.
I miss you.
You should come back more often.
I really should. You just get buried in the work. And as we all know, like if you don't take that minute when you're resisting to like rejuvenate and take a breath, it's a lot.
I was actually talking to Joan Walsh just this morning. I asked her about her weekend. She says, she's gotten to the point where she has to unplug from the television and the drama and Trump just to kind of reset. But then she agreed with me. I said, Joan, on the rare occasions I can unplug, it's still like Groundhog Day with Bill Murray.
Yes.
If I unplug, Liz, when I plug back in, before I plug back in, I'll do a pop quiz for myself, and I'll say what I know happened before I've even heard about it, because it's the same thing.
Over and over.
It's like you can predict what he was going to say.
Yeah.
Or what he's going to do, or what any of those crazy people are going to do.
It's basically the only thing that's new is the typos in the tweets.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
So
that's right.
It's like, it feels really a lot like that. And I think that this week too, I am a feminist, I'm a reproductive rights activist, I'm a comedian. And this week was such an interesting time just between Roseanne and Samantha Bee and people trying to conflate systematic racism with, words that people don't like people to use about other people. I found it a super interesting time to talk about, all of it.
Yeah.
To compare what Roseanne said and the amount of times that she has made incredibly dehumanizing slurs, and to compare that to how you feel about using the C word. If you want to have a conversation about the C word, you should have that that's an important conversation to have. How do people feel about using that? But
how do you feel about using it?
I feel it's interesting. I use it in the verb tense with behavior. So I add a Y at the end. So I will say so-and-so's behavior was cunty. There, I said it. You can bleep it. But because I also personally, I like explaining the behavior and then adding the pejorative to it. So, but I just feel like it's somebody who literally traffics in patriarchy the way Ivanka Trump does. She is constantly trying to benefit herself or white supremacy.
Yeah.
I just need more awful words. I need more awful words.
Right. And there's no comparison between the C word and saying somebody looks like Planet of the Apes.
No, there's not. And I think to try to conflate them, it's sort of all lives matter-y, if you ask me. It's like, stop it. Like, let's talk about racism.
Right.
Because even though there's intersections for sure between all of it, like, apparently people still need that lesson and need to understand the origins and the roots of what that is and why. So we can't water that down. We shouldn't divert from what that is.
Yeah. It was interesting because, and here obviously we're using the term Vagical.
Yes.
The Vagical Mystery Tour coming to the city, and you want to get all details about that. But that's a kind of interesting word.
Vagical?
In and of itself. Yes.
Well, we made it up. It's basically, it's not a real word. If you look up Vagical, it will maybe just bring you to the Vagical Mystery Tour. So,
well, that's good. You coined it.
Yeah. So what the Vagical Mystery Tour is in the front for reproductive rights and health and justice, as we look at the fires that are burning on all the fronts, I think that reproductive rights is oftentimes just not talked about on a national scale. And so I have an organization called Lady Parts Justice League, and what we do is we make videos and use humor to expose the hypocrisy of these politicians who claim to care so much about women and families, and then try to make sure that nobody has the choice or nobody has the options to have the healthiest families they can. And then what we do in the Vagical Mystery Tour is we travel around the country and we do comedy and music shows. And then after the show, immediately after, we have a talk back with the local activists and the clinics that are in the town. They talk about the state of reproductive care in their communities. And then my audience can sign up right there at their table and become volunteers. So we're growing local activist bases in some of the hardest hit spaces. So we're going to Western Pennsylvania, and we're going to Tennessee, and we're going to West Virginia. And it's pretty cool to have a platform where you can bring people into a room. They love your comedy. They love comedy about political and social issues. And then everyone's really hungry to be told what to do. When people are busy,
Right.
and when you can say to them, I know your life is insane. Donald Trump has made it that way.
Yeah.
Undoing policies that helped you get a little bit of leg up. So we were hoping we were moving to a place where everybody could work one job. Everybody could get a job that paid them a wage. Now you got to work 5 jobs, figure out your daycare, figure out how to get to work, all that. So to be able to go in and say, we see you, and here's, if you have an hour to give, if you have a day to give or a week to give, we can give you some activism tools that help you make where you live better and helps you become an activist for the people in the community that need help.
And this, again, is a form of activism that is so appropriate because women's reproductive rights are being assailed by this administration every day. You mentioned a week last week. It was the Arkansas situation last week, right?
Yeah, last week was Arkansas, where the state of Arkansas imposed regulations that have nothing to do with access to health, making healthcare safer. They basically said people seeking medication abortion have to jump through all these hoops that are unattainable for clinics. Things like you have to basically have hospital privileges for someone to take a pill. And that meant that the 2 Planned Parenthoods in that state who were giving medication abortion, because it's much easier for low-income folks and rural folks to be able to do that, had to close down. So now there's 1 clinic left in Arkansas. And then just today, this morning, we learned that, I don't know if you were following the case, but an undocumented minor who was raped, impregnated, came across the border in her, I'm just going to say incarceration because people are incarcerated who are undocumented when they come here. She requested to have an abortion. In the United States, you are constitutionally allowed that right. You have to adhere to the laws of the state you're in, and you have to pay for it yourself. She had all that in place, and the person running the Office of Resettlement and Refugees said, I'm not going to grant you that right. The ACLU took her case. She ended up having her abortion, but the Supreme Court ruled today that it's not your right to just have precedent, that you should be able to legally go through those channels. So it's a case-by-case basis. And that means you're scared, you're a minor, you're undocumented, and you're pregnant, and there is no simple path for you. Our nation is just going to punish you. And so, raising awareness on issues like that is super important for us, and those intersections are just key.
Well, and it's important you're doing it at the local level, because I think what we've seen over the years, Liz, is that the states have been purposely and consciously violating Roe.
That's exactly right.
And they're daring us to challenge them in court. But the risk for our side is, if we challenge them in court, there's the concern of going up to the Supremes and then them actually reversing Roe. And they know that.
Yes.
That's why they're doing it, sticking it to us. And sometimes, we've had some victories, some setbacks, but it's still not clear that if the court had an opportunity, it wouldn't just reverse Roe altogether.
Well, and just that is such a great point. And just to even expand more on that, people, I don't think, realize that it's state and local government that most of these laws are coming
That's right.
out of. And so then when we challenge them, we go through a court system that, as we have watched, Donald Trump packing these federal judges and circuit court judges. And so that feels really scary. And so that's why we're on the road and we're trying to make local politics sexy, which, let me tell you what, we're not strippers, so I don't know how we're going to do it, but we're trying to get people, because there's an amazing and exciting thing when so many of these politicians won in midterm elections that nobody really paid attention to before, maybe only won by 100 votes, and maybe people voted for or didn't vote at all because they didn't know who their candidate was, right? But I think there is an awakening, and so I hope people understand, and that goes for not just like how they're laying down reproductive rights laws, but anything that I profoundly have on my list of things that hit me in my gut, whether that's voting reform, over-policing, guns, all of that stuff comes out of your local state and local legislature.
All of it.
Yeah, LGBTQ laws, so it's like, if we pay attention, these are races that we can win.
Yeah.
And so keeping our legislatures healthy and sane means that they won't go through this packed court system possibly to reverse some of these laws that we've seen them doing.
And also, I think, Trump also highlights the contradictions that existed prior to Roe. Yeah. Where if you were wealthy and you had a rich individual in your life, what have you, you can get an abortion.
Oh, yeah, always.
So we look at this case with Brody that many people feel is taking the fall for Trump. Yeah. That he actually caused his playmate to have an abortion. Yep. Further evidence by the fact that, if you want a cabinet position, or not even a cabinet position, you just want a job in administration, call Brody. Yeah. And within 5 minutes, he'll call you back and say you got the job. Now, how is he able to do that? Because Trump owes him. But the point is that they would take us back to the days before Roe. Yeah. Number one. But number two, as we've all said in the past, what Planned Parenthood and other clinics do is they don't just provide abortions. They provide everything else in terms of health resources. Yes. Even for men.
Well, and that's the whole thing. I feel like as long as there has been sexually active people, there's been mishaps with birth control. There's been unattended pregnancy. And so abortion is super necessary, right? But I think that when you hypocritically start closing the clinics down that provide birth control, and you say we shouldn't have to teach our kids sex education in schools, you're denying, you're just revealing that it's really not about abortion at all. It's about control. It's about putting a stance on sex and reproductive rights that doesn't come from a place of science, that comes from a place of invasion and morale and like just judging people and stigma. Right. So I always say, Trump, this year said your boss can decide whether or not birth control is covered in your healthcare plan based on his or her feelings about sex. That's pretty crazy. We may find ourselves in a place too, which really worries me. So many women use birth control for hormone therapy, right? So whether endometriosis, things like that. I can see this administration saying with Title X, hey, look, we recognize that birth control is really important for all these other health reasons. So we're only going to grant birth control if you have those health reasons, so that women with endometriosis are going to be subjected to, all women would be subjected to an embarrassing test to have to prove they have a legitimate reason to use birth control. And then they can say, but if you're going to try to use it to prevent pregnancy, we're not going to grant that because it's against our morals. Yeah. So that is just not recognizing that responsible, life and using birth control for all things are super important. And I just feel like people are always like, do you really think that can happen? And I don't know about you, Mark, but I feel like, yes, I feel like anything could happen.
Yeah, nowadays. It's insane. Let's say something controversial that might go viral. Nuns use birth control.
Whoa! Nuns use birth control. Yes.
And some of them have gone on record. Andrew's blushing over there. You okay? You okay over there? I think it made him feel uncomfortable because he never thought about that. But because for all of those other health reasons. Yeah. But now somebody doesn't know, they'll be like, oh my God, Mark and Liz are being blasphemous right now. But that's
That's true.
That's real.
Yeah, it's real. And that's the whole thing. And I think that we're walking down a path where birth control as contraception, birth control as hormone and pain management are all super important to the reproductive health and lives of people who need it.
Yeah.
And we can't, and I feel like they're going to try to parse that out.
Yeah.
And that makes me feel like really rageful.
Yeah.
Because we all need it.
Vagicalmysterytour.com. Go let you know some details in a moment or two. Now, so just back to the term, though, vagical.
Yes, vagical.
Shall I infer that that term is defined as, even by the way it sounds, that the vagina is magical?
You could.
And it has mysteries and wonders to behold that most people cannot comprehend.
Well, I think that
he's blushing again.
That's a double entendre because the vagical, magical, how did you say it? It has mysteries that some people can't comprehend.
Yeah.
I think most of those people that can't comprehend it are making laws against it.
That's what I'm saying. Right.
So it's vagically magical in one level, or multiple orgasmic beings, which makes us incredidly awesome.
Yeah.
But also,
well, you are.
Why don't you shut up if you don't know how it works?
If you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, if you don't know what you're talking about. Like, honestly, there was a state legislator in Idaho who actually stood on the floor in, that righteous, mediocre white dude power that they have sometimes. It's like, wait, you're just average and you're just acting like you're going to solve some shit.
Right.
He actually said, why can't women just swallow a camera to get a gynecological exam?
What?
Mm-hmm. It's on, and a female who was serving in the Idaho State House had to politely say, that's not how things work. I know you think that it's a stomach that you're looking at when you see a person who's pregnant, but sir, read up.
Yeah.
Sit down.
Right.
Run away. Delete all your Twitter because RIP to your mentions. No. But that's what we're dealing with.
Yeah, just
ignorance. It's like,
who was a politician once said that women who are raped and get pregnant have the power to shut that down?
Oh yeah, that's Todd Aiken.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's him.
Yeah, as though we are magical, that we can turn sperm into something else.
Yeah.
Because if we could, we would. With single malt scotch, chocolate sauce, there's many things that we could turn sperm into that would be a giant benefit for all.
Wow. But
we can't. Just know that if your sperm is not at any point turning into single malt scotch, know that the vagina is not that magical. We go up to the magical wall, but we cannot cross.
Yeah. Folks, this stuff is getting crazy. We've got it.
I've lost it.
No, you good. I mean, but men need to understand and respect women and their bodies, and we need to stay out of it.
But also stand up.
Stand up for your right
yeah.
to make your own decisions about your own body and not have men make those decisions
That's
for
exactly right. Because I think a lot of times in watching the course of the activism around reproductive health and what that means, I think the stay out message, which is a super important one, did become, we don't need you advocating for us, right? But the truth is,
of course, right.
I'm asked constantly, how come women are still fighting this fight? And my answer always is, how come you're not standing with us? So looking at the full humanity of women and people with uteruses means you understand it as a human rights issue, which means it's got to occur to you to be there, to be in those fights, and to stand with us. And so that's what I say, men, stand with us. Yeah. We're fun.
And so, men, some of you men need to go and check out the Vagical Mystery Tour. If you go to vagicalmysterytour.com,
you can get all the dates,
all the dates,
the information,
all the tour dates and everything, and see where it is. You all going to a lot of cities.
Yeah, we're going to a lot of cities, and we're spending 5 days in each city, which is cool. So after the show, the couple of things we do is after everybody's signed up to volunteer, we do a works project at the clinic. So we may redo their garden. We may paint the inside of the clinic, hang some new artwork. It's sort of a Habitats for Humanity for these local clinics that people might not be as familiar with the name recognition like they are Planned Parenthood.
Right.
It's sort of, I often like to say Planned Parenthood is sort of like Trader Joe's, and these local clinics are like your local co-op. They coexist. They both need love. And then we go get some people registered to vote. So we do some GOTV. We do some clinic work. We do some actions too. We're doing some pop-up actions and flash mobs, and yeah, it's a whole thing.
Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, Charleston, West Virginia, Columbus, Ohio, Nashville, where I grew up.
Yeah.
Detroit, South Bend, Minneapolis, your hometown,
Yep.
Milwaukee. Tell us about some of the other people going to be with you, some of the other performers.
So much fun. So what's really cool is in a comedy show, your normal expectation of what you see is a couple of white dudes and maybe another person. The show is you'll see Jeannie Asheray, Michelle Buteau, Joelle Johnson, Helen Hong, Jenny Yang, Beth Stelling. You'll see Hadea Robinson, Maysoon Zaid, a really great cross-section of everybody, the world through the lens of the people we know and love. So it's really fun for audiences to see and hear these diverse voices and how the world looks through their lens, and it's really going to be fun. Yeah.
And you'll also, for those of you who don't understand vagical mystery, you obviously also be educated on what that's really all about.
On the mysteries of the vagical.
The mysteries of the vagical, and we look
It
forward
sounds
to
like
that.
there's going to be an orb on stage that just glows, and maybe there will be. I'm not going to say there's not going to be.
So that'll be great. Lastly, and we talked about Samantha Bee and that issue. But now some of the same people are coming after another friend of ours, Joanne Reed. They want her off there for stuff she said a decade ago. And again, it's just another false equivalency. Women who are liberal and conscious and doing positive things are a threat.
Here's the deal. I have been friends with Joanne Reed for 10 years. 10 years. Like, I'm not just on her show. I am friends with Joanne Reed. If Joanne Reed, even 10 years ago, like we all have said things and written things that are like,
we all have,
and we've learned and we've evolved. In this 10-year block, I have never, and I know you're the same way. Like, I don't even know who that person was, because she was if that's all happened, I don't care. I stand with Joy. I love Joy. She's even said, you know what? I kind of stepped in it sometimes. Like, come out and said it.
Yeah.
She's trying to figure out. We all have. And so whatever feelings you have, I'm just saying, as somebody who knows Joanne Reed and who loves Joanne Reed is never sleeps, wakes up every day, goes to sleep every day, figuring out how she's going to try to call out injustice, make the world a better place. And I love Joy.
Yeah.
I love Joy.
Man, we have to stand up for all of the women in our lives, and even those whom we don't know, for their right to be self-determining, to speak with their own agency and in their own voices. And that definitely includes, and most especially when it comes to their bodies. So vagicalmysterytour.com. And hey, it's summer. Some of you men, this would be, I think, a great gift or a date.
Yeah,
to take your
sure.
significant other or your sister or your mother or your cousin, whoever the woman is in your life.
And you're going to get points suggesting you want to go.
Right.
Because it's really, seriously. But it's also just like, the show itself is like, it's just such a fun comedy show. Like, I kind of do the political heavy lifting because that's what I'm known for.
Right.
And then everybody kind of talks about their world experiences. So it's this super full comedy show that's just full of greatness. And summertime is such a good time. There's a lot of concert tours out there. Mm-hmm. We also made a point where, because we're a nonprofit, we raised money for this tour, so our ticket prices could stay low. I don't think in any city the ticket price is more than $20 if you buy it at the door.
Wow.
We try to keep it at a $15 price so that the economy of it doesn't matter. It's going to a good cause. And these really cool comics who you've seen on Seth Meyers and on The Daily Show and have their own talk shows are coming out and donating their time because they want you to learn about this issue. So celebrate them by saying you're doing good work and we're coming out to honor it.
And couldn't we use some laughs right along through here? So folks, please take advantage of this. Liz is great. All of the performers with her are going to be great. We already know that. some of them whom we already know. So please, man, please, sir, VagicalMysteryTour.com. I'm going to let all my folk in Nashville know.
Yeah, let them know.
So come on.
Shows in Nashville's real good.
And check it out. Thank you.
Plus Tennessee, oh my God, we can do some. We got to get.
Yeah.
It's got to be a Blackburn-free zone on November 7th.
That's right. That's right.
Let's create that.
Marsha. Yeah.
Marsha.
And again, this will make a difference in all these places. There's a mighty blue wave coming, and it's a blue wave of women at that. It's about time people stood up, and so we have a duty for that reason also, as Liz said earlier. Voting is not just about voting for the president.
No.
So all of this happens at the state level. The census is coming. We need people in these state houses. And some of you who've yet to make a decision to run, some of you women might want to make decisions now while you still can about running for office.
That's right.
And standing up and representing your rights. Your rights. A woman's place is in the House, the Senate, the White House, the State House, the Governor's Mansion, all of those places.
I often like to say a woman's place is in your face.
I like that too.
Yes.
I like that too.
Yeah. Here I am. See me.
So Liz Winstead and Liz from the Lady Parts Justice League, going back to Air America, to The Daily Show. Folks, Liz's contributions to our discourse. She's a comedian. She's funny. She's great. But she has added so much to our political discourse as well. And we're so appreciative of that.
Well, it's not only great, but I get to make friends with people like you. It's
wonderful.
like we're a good team. We got a good team of like righteous people giving some good information, and I'm so glad that like your voice is out there just speaking it.
We lost Dick Gregory last year.
One of my heroes.
But Liz is one of those who's still holding up that banner.
Well, that is one of the highest compliments that you can.
No, you are.
Say.
You are
For sure.
And even on the ground, like she said, she's going into these cities, and they're going to be doing on the ground activism and work in some of these communities and some of these clinics that need help and support.
Yep.
So they'll be making you laugh, but also doing some work as well. So we admire that.
Thank you. And I just really love too, like knowing how hard and how effective these groups are on the ground, and one of their biggest problems is how do you get people to find out who you are? How do you grow your activist base and community? And to be able to go in and do a comedy show and then just hand them the mic is so great, because it's hard to get people to come to your meeting and your indivisible group. And those of you doing it, like that's the whole thing, is that I just honor so much the activists who decided to fight back, because the Democratic Party, let's be honest, some weak sauce shit happened. Like they are not the ones mobilizing. It's the people who are mobilizing and telling the Democratic Party what they want to see in their party. So I want to give props to the people who have decided to say, you're my baseline morality. Here's what I want you to be.
Right.
And people are doing it, and I love that.
Trump was talking about Roseanne. She's us. She's like us. The show is like us. Well, whatever. Liz is really like all of us and like most of America. And when we talk to more people in these local areas, not these great big metropolis cities a lot of times, but in these local areas, they hear what Liz is saying. They're coming out to see her. They're doing the work, and Liz is going there to support it. And we ask that you do too. VagicalMysteryTour.com. Liz Winstead, I guess. Good to see you, Liz.
Thank you so much.
All right, wonderful. I just said what Trump said about Roseanne. She's one of us.
She's one of us. Yeah, you know what? She is. She proved it. The ABC, I just want to say one thing.
Please.
ABC made this big pitch that this was because of the economically insecure Trump voter. We wanted to do a show that showed the other side. And it's like, all she did off air was prove our point.
That's right.
It wasn't Carol O'Connor, who was a raging radical who was playing a character and having a dialogue.
Yeah.
No, that's
right.
not what happened.
That's right.
So she doubled down on what we thought, and for the disadvantaged economically Trump voter, she hosed you.
She did.
She hosed you.
She did.
So that didn't help.
No, it didn't at all. And it also shows how invisible she thought her boss was. I mean, the president of ABC is now an African-American woman.
Yeah.
So what on earth made her think she could say something like that? But that's the
president.
Yeah, right. She can get away with it, and there wouldn't be any backlash. So that's what she did. That's what she deserved. Not the same as Samantha. Not the same as Joyanne. Folks, don't be fooled by that. You'll learn more about this if you support the VagicalMysteryTour.com. Please, please, please put it on your calendar. You all raise money for this, you said?
Yeah, we do. We raise money. You can go to vagicalmysterytour.com. There's a donate button.
Please, yeah.
All the money goes to is keeping us out on the road, helping us buy supplies to help the clinics. You know, it's a labor of love that we do, but you know, nothing's free, and you know, Home Depot ain't giving us free paint.
That's
So
right, that's
we
right.
got, you know, there's no, hey, free at the pump for you,
Yeah,
feminist.
yeah.
So you know, filling up the gas, filling up the van, the hotels, the whole thing.
Artist and revolutionary Lizz Winstead, vagicalmysterytour.com. Thank you so much again, Liz.
Thanks.
All right, folks, and let me let her go because I know Pete is probably pulling his hair out
Oh, yeah.
right now.
Well,
So, you don't have,
that's hilarious.
That's not funny. You shouldn't say that. Thank you all for joining us.
Thanks, all.